I'm not running, that I am not running. I never said I was running. The Democratic Party in Massachusetts never asked me to run. I'm not running. I'm not running for anything, but I'm not running against him. I'm really not. I never was. I'm not running for office. I've never said that I would run for office. Nobody's asked me to run for office. I'm not running against Scott Brown. I've never said I'm running against Scott Brown. Massachusetts Democrats never talked to me about running against Scott Brown. Honestly, I'm not running. They never asked me to run. Never, not, didn't. So my effort to not run for Senate in Massachusetts is not going well. I keep trying to not run, but Scott Brown won't let me. I thought this was over. He sent out a fundraising letter last week asking conservatives around the country to give him money because of my planned run against him for his Senate seat. In the letter, he attacks me for having a far-left agenda and says that Democratic Party bosses in Massachusetts want a rubber stamp who will vote for their plans to expand government, increase debt, and raise taxes. Someone like Rachel Maddow. Someone like Rachel Maddow, who is not running against Scott Brown for Senate, who was never recruited to run against Scott Brown for Senate, someone who has been made over into a fake Senate candidate against Scott Brown just so Scott Brown can raise money around the country on what an awful person I am and how America can't afford my far-left agenda. I thought this was over. I thought this was weird, but at least I thought that it was finally over. Turns out it's not. Senator Scott Brown of Massachusetts is not letting this go, if you can believe it. Yesterday, Senator Brown came out to my neck of the woods in western Massachusetts to attend a ribbon cutting. And while he was there in beautiful downtown Greenfield, Massachusetts in Franklin County, he went back after me again. He told Democratic State Senator Stan Rosenberg, quote, "She's trying to boost her ratings." Oh, but wait, it's even on tape.
You've stirred quite a thing up, you know, with Rachel Maddow. Everybody's talking about it in the neighborhood.
She's trying to boost her ratings.
I'm boosting my ratings. Boosting my ratings how, Senator? How am I boosting my ratings? I'm boosting my ratings by being the subject of a lie that you're telling about me to raise money? I didn't do this, Senator. You did this. You dragged me into this. You made something up that's not true. You have such a lack of respect for your conservative donor base around the country that you don't care if what you're telling them is true or not. You think it doesn't matter in politics if what you say is true or not. Just give me the money. Makes for a good story. Good, scary, liberal story. Do you feel scared? Then send me your money. Who cares if the story's true or not? Who cares? Turns out I care. Somebody's got to draw a line somewhere. Lying should have consequences. You shouldn't get to flat-out lie in the conduct of your business as a United States Senator and get away with it. Everybody says that this is just the way people do things. This is just politics. But politics is for something. Politics is about more than just politicians. Politics is about our country. And I don't concede that the only thing we can expect from people in politics is for them to lie to us and not care and get away with it because we don't expect better. So I recognize this is probably futile, but I'm going to say it. Senator Brown, you need to stop lying about this. Since the original fundraising letter that lied and said I was being recruited to run for Senate against him, Senator Brown has presented no evidence that I am running against him or that Massachusetts Democratic Party officials ever recruited me to do it. He hasn't presented any evidence that those things are true because they're not true, but he keeps saying them. Even after I said flat out that these things are not true, he told Boston Talk Radio, for example, "Bring her on."
Bring her on. I don't care.
Bring her on. I don't care. Senator Brown, you're lying. I'm not running. And you know I'm not running. And when you say, "Bring her on," to make people think that I'm running against you, you're lying. Stop it. Senator Brown, you then had your spokesman put out this statement. It was an open secret that the Democrats were trying to recruit Rachel Maddow to run against Scott Brown in 2012. Senator Brown, again, you're lying. They didn't try to recruit me. It is a knowable fact. It is an empirical, checkable statement. You are lying. Stop it. Senator Brown, then you had your spokesman tell the Boston Globe that we hadn't been, my office, my team, hadn't been calling your office to try to get you to come on this show. Senator Brown, you're lying. My office called you multiple times a day, every day, over and over and over and over again to try to set this right. I will show you the phone records if you care. You are lying when you say that it didn't happen. Stop it. Senator Brown, then you had your spokesman tell the Boston Herald, I think Rachel Maddow would be an interesting candidate. And the ad I published, he said, wasn't in fact, the ad that I published to say that I wasn't in fact running, he said, it, quote, looks like it was written by the Democratic National Committee. Senator Brown, you're lying. I wrote the ad. If you'd called me back and asked me about it, I would have told you that. And again, I'm not a candidate against you. You know that. When you say, or you have your spokesman say that I think Rachel Maddow would be an interesting candidate, you're saying that in order to make people think I'm running against you. And you're lying. And you know you're lying. Stop it. Stop lying. If you want to be nice, you might even want to apologize for having told all these lies. But most importantly, I don't want you to do it again. You've been in Washington 7 weeks, and you're already lying over and over and over again, insistently, about something that, frankly, is not worth it. You picked something to lie about that you got caught for. And you picked someone to lie about who quixotically and probably stupidly has decided to not just let it go, to not let you get away with it. Senator Brown, I'm sorry that you don't actually get me good ratings. To tell you the truth, our viewers seem to like it better when I'm talking about health reform or sovereign wealth funds or New Jersey rest stops than when I'm talking about you, if you want to crunch the numbers about how our ratings track with what we've talked about in the last week. I keep talking about you lying about me, not because I want to get ratings out of it. You don't rate, sir. The reason I keep talking about it is because I want politicians to stop doing things like this, to stop making stuff up to run against instead of running against actual, not made-up problems that our country really has. I'm trying to increase the cost of you lying so that you'll stop doing it. Stop doing it. What's the sound of two protons colliding? Trick question. Subatomic particle collisions are silent, of course, you guys. The protons whiz around and collide inside a beam pipe with a really high vacuum, so no noise because sound requires a medium within which it travels, right? Duh. But even if we can't tell you the sound of two protons colliding, how about the sound of this? Geeks being very excited. That is the sound of super psyched, totally geeked out particle physicists reacting to the collision of subatomic particles. It happened at the Large Hadron Collider, 17 miles of magnetic track buried deep under the Alps between France and Switzerland. This morning, after not being able to make stuff work quite right before, scientists there were able to send protons whipping around two tracks in opposite directions at 99.9% of the speed of light. Then they crossed the streams, letting the protons collide with the combined force of 7 trillion electron volts. And when they saw the first evidence that the collision was successful, scientists at the European Organization for Nuclear Research were so excited they couldn't even type properly. Look at this message they posted on Twitter. Experiment have seen collisions! Here's what they were looking at that they were also geeked out by. Look, it's very pretty. I don't know what it means either. But there are going to be a lot more of those things. They're going to keep smashing stuff at this level for the next year and a half or so. And then they plan to get the Large Hadron Collider working at its ideal capacity, which would cause particles to smash into each other at twice the force of today's experiment, a level corresponding to the energy of the Big Bang. And when that happens, that, of course, will be the moment of geek to end all moments of geek. And if this program and the universe still exists, we will definitely cover it right here.